This year has been the most challenging, most beautiful, and most unexpected year of my life as a crochet content creator. From releasing new patterns, growing my crochet and knit YouTube channel, tracking my Etsy and Ravelry sales, to walking through grief, marriage, and major life changes, this year stretched me in every single direction. This year brought the best and the worst, as years tend to do, and today I want to take you through all of it. If you're interested in the real side of being a crochet and knitting creator, running a small handmade business, and trying to stay creative while navigating life, this video is for you. Let's talk about my year as a crochet creator, the wins, the losses, the lessons, and everything in between. So let's start off on a high note, because honestly, this part still doesn't feel real. As many of y'all know, I've been consistently posting crochet and knitting content here on YouTube since about August 31st of 2020. 4 years of showing up, sharing projects, talking yarn, reviewing patterns, and building this little crochet community one video at a time. But it wasn't until June of 2025 that something huge finally happened. I got monetized. Now listen, getting monetized has been a dream of mine since the very beginning, but I honestly didn't think it was ever going to happen for me. Numbers don't usually come easy for me, and growth on a crochet channel can be slow and unpredictable. My only real goal for 2025 was to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and 5K just felt big. That felt actually unrealistic. And yet here we are at the end of the year sitting at, I'll just post the number somewhere because I don't know where it is right now, but that's completely blowing my mind. It's such a blessing to be able to grow a crafting community this supportive and this engaged. Every time somebody subscribes, comments, or shares a video, it truly feels like confirmation that the work that I put here is worth it. Because if you can't tell by now, I put my heart and soul into every video that I upload on this channel. If I can't watch it back and feel proud of it, if I don't feel like it adds value or joy or clarity to your crafting journey, I'm not posting it here. This year was a doozy. In 2025 alone, I've racked up 271K views, 8.8K watch hours, and 3,100 subscribers, which still feels so weird to say out loud. YouTube growth as a crochet creator is a roller coaster, and it never stops surprising me. But here's the funny part. I can put hours into filming, editing, planning thumbnails, researching keywords, really crafting the best possible crochet content, and the algorithm's just like, yeah, okay, but this random video is the one we're choosing today. And for whatever reason, the two videos that tipped me over the edge into getting monetized were Why All Your Crochet Projects Suck and Crochet and Knit Patterns I'll Never Buy Again. These two videos took off almost immediately, and right after that, I got monetized and hit my 2025 subscriber goal at the same time. It was really a surreal month. But if we're talking about what mattered to me personally, not numbers, not views, my favorite video I made this year was How Crochet Changed My Life. It didn't get a ton of views, but the people who watched it really resonated with what I shared, and that's the kind of connection that I value most. The numbers are cool, but the impact is what keeps me going. Now let's talk about what I made this year, because this was hands down my lowest year in terms of completing crochet and knit projects. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that I noticed when I look back at my finished object list. There's a reason for that, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the video, but creatively, this year was a little bit slower for me. Even with that slowdown, I'm really proud of the pieces that I did design and release. I actually started the year strong because I released 4 new patterns, and every single one of them ended up being created in partnership with Lion Brand Yarn, which still blows me away. In February, I released the two-tone flow scarf, my one and only knit project for the entire year. I didn't knit anything else after that, which is wild because knitting used to be my comfort craft, but at least I went out with a bang because I love how this scarf turned out. In March, I released the split stitch cardigan, which so many of you messaged me about. I got a great response from my audience, and I love that. Then I took a little breather because life, and I came back in June with the split stitch wrap skirt. A lot of people love that one as well. The colors of this one still are my favorite. And finally, I rounded out my year of designing with the Evergreen Joy wreath, which is such a fun, festive project. All those patterns are available as Lion Brand kits, so if you want the exact yarn that I use, the whole bundle is on their site, and I'll link everything below. Now, when it comes to other designers, this is not my most productive year. I didn't really finish anything from anyone else's pattern, but I did definitely start a few things because starting a project is my love language. I started a waffle stitch blanket, which wasn't from a specific pattern. I was just obsessed with the texture that I made from the Waffleicious cardigan by MJ's off the hook. That stitch is addictive. And I recently grabbed some gorgeous Color Theory yarn because I've been wanting to make the Cerrito wrap by 2 of Wands for a while now. I expect that make will be a video at the top of next year because I've been itching to merge my fiber love with my love of fashion. For some reason, even in my least creative years, 2 of Wands designs always end up in my queue. It's like a tradition at this point. And I almost finished making the Abuela shirt for my husband by MM Making. Now I have made this one before for myself, and I was trying to make one for my husband. I used 24/7 cotton yarn. My goal was to finish it before we went on a cruise, and that didn't happen. Then I said I'd finish it before his birthday, and that didn't happen. Then I shot for our anniversary, and no, that didn't happen. So now maybe it'll be a Christmas gift, and I'm okay with the timeline because this shirt is stunning and deserves to be finished when I have the energy. So I know that sounds like a decent amount of projects, but for me, this is a very low count for the year. Normally my list is very long, like embarrassingly long. But this year, creativity took a backseat to life, and that's okay. Another thing I want to be honest about this year is Instagram. I did not show up on Instagram the way I should have. With everything happening behind the scenes, I only had the capacity to pour into YouTube. My Instagram posts weren't hitting, my reels weren't hitting, and eventually I just stopped trying. If you didn't see very much about my pattern releases, that's totally on me. Instagram constantly loses my attention. I know it's a great tool for promoting crochet patterns, connecting with other makers, and growing my small business, but I get tired of it so fast. Please tell me I'm not alone in this, because if there's a platform that drains creative energy faster than Instagram, I haven't been on it. Now let's talk sales. As I've mentioned before, I make more of my sales from Etsy, so let's start with Ravelry first. As far as Ravelry, I sold 3 split stitch sweaters in January of 2025. I sold 1 split stitch wrap skirt in June, July, September, and October, so 1 for each of those months, and that was pretty much all my sales for Ravelry. As far as Etsy, I do have a little bit more. On Etsy, I sold 20 split stitch sweaters, I sold 10 aesthetic hanging chairs, 14 split stitch crochet cardigans, 5 black or white bucket hats, 6 split stitch wrap skirts. Oh my gosh, that's such a tongue twister. 6 free crochet pattern suggestions, 3 half wrap fall shawls, 7 fall crochet and knit pattern suggestions, 3 two-tone flow scarves, 2 sail away summer vests, 3 whole mood mini skirts, 2 fearless knit beanies, 2 summer knit and crochet pattern suggestions, and 3 Oh Christmas tree pillows. There were a few listings on my Etsy that had no sales, so I have to go back and reevaluate if I want to keep them as a listing, but even if I remove it from my Etsy, they'll definitely remain on my Ravelry. My sales weren't really that high this year, but again, I chalk that up to not being as active on Instagram. As a lot of you already know, I got married back in November of 2024. So this year was my first full year of marriage. And let me just say, marriage is marriage. And you can take that however you want. There were moments that were incredibly beautiful, and there were moments that challenged us in ways that we never expected. Some highs were way up there, and some lows were lower than we ever experienced. At the top of the year in January, I shared with y'all in my community tab that my mother-in-law passed away. Completely unexpected, completely heartbreaking, and thank you again to anyone who donated to the GoFundMe. That meant more than you'll ever know. My husband and I spent our very first Valentine's Day as a married couple trying to celebrate our new life together while planning a funeral, something neither one of us had ever done before. It brought emotions that I didn't even have a name for. And just when things started to feel somewhat normal again, my husband's father passed away, literally days before my husband's 30th birthday. If you know me, you know I live for birthdays. I go all out for myself and for the people that I love. And then life hit us again. By this point, I felt like I was in the twilight zone. I was completely depleted. But then God wasn't done. On the morning of our first wedding anniversary, we got a call that my husband's aunt passed away. And this one cut really deep. I told y'all many times that I'm an aunt myself, and I take that title very seriously. So having an aunt of my own felt really, really special. She treated me like her real niece. She called me like I was her real niece. She fussed at me like I was her real niece. And most importantly, she loved me like I was her real niece. Getting to experience that kind of love, even for a short time, is something that I'll always be grateful for. As you can imagine, trying to show up online as a crochet creator, a YouTube creator, a Christian creator, trying to film a chatty crochet video, all while navigating grief after grief, was very, very hard. There were days I didn't know what God was doing or why He was doing it. I would never pretend to understand God's plans, but as humans, I think it's normal to want answers. Answers give us closure, and closure gives us comfort. One thing I couldn't ignore is is that all of these losses happen right before major celebrations, and that really tested me. It's easy to say God is good when everything is going right, but the real test is when you feel like life is punching you in the face and you're still trying to whisper that God is good, even when it feels like he's bullying you. I challenge myself to still celebrate these moments the best that I could, even through grief, because regardless of what happened, God is good. And that's just the truth for me. Even though this year shook us to our core, the one thing I held on to for comfort is knowing that heaven is real, and knowing that all three of them are up there chilling with Jesus and my grandparents right now, having a good old time. Heck, they're probably playing with my grandbaby that they kept begging me for before they left. And I don't know all the logistics about these things, but that gives me the peace that I needed. Does it still hurt? Absolutely. It's not the life that I imagined for our family, but I can't change it. What I can do and what I'm choosing to do is trust that God is still good in every season. The happy seasons, the sad seasons, the marriage season, the grief season, and everything in between. Even though this past year was heavy and honestly one of the most heartbreaking seasons of my life, there was still a lot of exciting and meaningful moments mixed in. My YouTube channel kept growing, my crochet community kept showing up, and that alone gave me something to look forward to during some pretty dark days. And if I'm completely honest, I don't have any big YouTube goals for next year. Maybe I should have, but this year went above and beyond what I ever could have imagined. Getting monetized, growing this crochet and knitting community, seeing videos reach new people, it all felt like confirmation that slow and steady really does pay off. So instead of trying to force new goals for next year, I'm choosing to stay open to whatever God wants to do with this channel. I'm excited to keep creating crochet content, reviewing patterns, sharing yarn I love, and connecting with all of you. Now, don't tell Lion Brand this part, but I don't anticipate releasing any brand new crochet or knit patterns next year. This year taught me that I spread myself way too thin. Instead, I want to take the time to promote patterns I already designed, especially the ones I did a terrible job promoting last year. Every single one of my designs deserves its moment, and next year feels like the perfect time to focus on visibility instead of creation. And on top of that, I want to keep shining a light on other designers through my Designer Spotlight series, something I truly love doing. I want to make more patterns from other creators, try new stitches, and rediscover the joy of making without deadlines. Sometimes the best way to get your creativity back is simply playing with yarn again. On the personal side of things, I'm praying for a strong, healthy marriage going into this next year. As many of you know, this has been my first year of marriage, and it was nothing like what I expected. I'm striving every day to be a godly wife, to support my husband in the way that he needs, and to show up in our home with love, patience, and grace. But losing my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and my husband's aunt all in the same year, it really took a toll on both of us. If you can't tell, I'm a naturally happy person. I'm the encourage everybody else type of person. So spending a year planning funerals and making funeral programs and being surrounded by grief while also grieving myself was the complete opposite of anything I ever imagined for my first year of marriage. There were definitely moments where I was like, Lord, please give me any other test, like any other one. But at the same time, I'm blessed that I was able to be there for my husband and his family. It was an honor to help, even though it was so hard, even though it stretched me, and even though it left me mentally exhausted. I'm grateful that I was able to show up when it mattered the most. Still, I'm praying for a little break this next year, a season of peace, a season of joy, and a season where we can breathe again. Only God knows what that will look like, but I'm hopeful, and I'm walking into the next year expectant, grateful, and ready for whatever comes next. Thank you all so much for listening to my highs and lows and everything in between from this year. This video was definitely more chatty than usual, but honestly, this community has walked me through so much, more than y'all even know, and it felt important to sit down and reflect on what this year really looked like, both creatively and personally. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge something I was truly proud of this year. I was so consistent. Even with everything life threw at me, I kept showing up on this channel, creating crochet content, designing patterns, sharing yarn recommendations, and doing my best to pour into this crafting community. Consistency is not easy, especially when you're grieving, working, creating, and trying to show up for your family. So yes, I'm proud of myself for that. But with that being said, I'm also gonna take a much needed break, a real one. So this is my last video for this year, but I will be back. I want to come back with more creativity, more energy, more fresh ideas, and honestly, more joy. I want my future videos to come from a place of overflow and not exhaustion. So if I'm gone for a little bit, just know that I'm resting, resetting, and getting ready to come back stronger with more makes, more pattern reviews, more yarn chats, and more of whatever God puts in my heart next. In the meantime, I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments, how did your year go? What did you make? What were some of your wins? What were some of your losses? What projects brought you joy and which one stressed you out. It really does help to know that none of us are alone in any of our experiences, and your stories always encourage me just as much as my videos encourage you. And if you want something else to watch while I'm recharging, go check out my video on lessons I learned from crochet. That video meant so much to me, and honestly, I wish it had gotten way more love. So if you missed it, now is the perfect time to go watch it. I pray you have a peaceful holiday season, a very Merry Christmas, and a joyful, prosperous New Year. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting my channel, and thank you for making this community what it is. I will see you soon. Bye.